Hello and welcome to the Grove. Today we're going to be looking at the newly released champion update trailer for Aurelion Soul called Finality. If you have not watched the video yet, this is not the best way to do it. I've already watched it dozens of times. We're going to be stopping and starting pretty much the whole way through. So if you have not watched it, follow the link in the description below, then come back here and we'll learn out together.
Before me, existence was empty, barren.
So let's get right into the beginning. The intro opens up to Targon, beautiful night sky moving overhead, tons of stars, and if I could describe it as one word, I would say it's supposed to be peaceful. However, something starts emerging in the background, and the first thing you see from Aurelion Soul is his golden helmet. Then his eyes come through, and you lose that sense of peace. You get the impression that he's watching and waiting, almost like a lion crawling through the grass, waiting for the opportunity to strike. Only Aurelion Soul is much larger than any lion, so his grass is literally the celestial cosmos. In this first part, he says, "Before me, existence was empty, barren." This is because Aurelion Soul was born in the first breath of creation. He was not the only one. There were other eternal aspects, but not as powerful as Aurelion Soul. So when he says, before me existence was empty, barren, that's because it literally was. He was born in the first breath of creation. There was nothing before him.
By my will, I filled it with wonder.
This part is so cool. So he says, by my will, I filled it with wonder. Aurelion Soul and all the other aspects created the cosmos, and it's described as like a painter with a blank canvas. He wandered for eons, but he never encountered an equal. Basically saying Aurelion Soul was really above, more powerful than a lot of these aspects. Let's just say that the bulk of the heavy lifting of the cosmos was done by Aurelion Soul. And again, look at what they're showing us here. So in this case, we're in the Freljord. We open up to a quiet, peaceful night at the warded gateways, which is above the Howling Abyss. And we see the northern lights flickering across the sky. And you can't really tell at first. It almost emerges, like it just looks like the constellation is moving, right? In the first image, we saw the stars moving above, so it looks almost like the stars are moving in this case, but really they're standing still. And the only stars that are moving here end up being Aurelion Soul's hand. And again, the peace is disrupted, this time by his hand. Claws filed down and creeping forward in slow motion. You feel an ominous aura around it, and the hand is moving so slow, you feel like time is slowing down a little. And just like you don't really see the hand coming, it almost feels like this place, right, which is in the Freljord, these bridges above the Howling Abyss, don't see him coming. Like we can see it. It feels like we're the only ones who are able to see this happening up in the sky. Like everyone else is oblivious to it. We're on the ground looking up, but we're the only ones looking up. That's what it feels like, because it's empty. You don't see anyone else. So it feels like we're aware of it, but no one else is aware of this looming threat above. This creature in the cosmos reaching out to grasp Runeterra in its claws.
By my will, I filled it with wonder. Mortals strive to construct their own adorably inadequate marvel.
Now let's look what he says here. Mortals strive to construct their own adorably inadequate marvels. And again, we're looking up from a place of inferiority, right? We're looking up at Aurelion Soul in the larger cosmos above. And in this case, we're most likely at a boundary market between Zaun and Piltover. We see that infamous green chemical color of Zaun clashing with the peaceful city of Piltover above. And it's no coincidence that this line, talking about how inferior mortal creations are, they're adorable, inferior marvels, inadequate to his own, was stated above the dual city of Piltover and Zaun. Piltover literally coined the term the City of Progress. In terms of monumental feats on Runeterra, Piltover is it. And there are many architectural monuments within Piltover just to show off power, such as the Zendelos Incognium Runeterra. And if you look at the descriptions of the structures of Piltover, they refer to them as the structures of wonder. Piltover's newer structures are a graceful mixture of polished marble, latest work bronze, and shimmering glass. Flooded towers inlaid with gold and silver reaching for the clear skies, as arching bridges spans the chasms between the cliff tops. So Piltover is a nice city, okay? Now, I want to emphasize on why he says inferior a little bit. Because get this, Aurelion's soul created the sun that Runeterra orbits around. So while Aurelion's soul was wandering around the cosmos, he created this sun for that Runeterra orbits around and left. Like, he created many stars. It's just another star to him. He came back to that sun eons later and discovered the world of Runeterra. He did not know who created the world or why, only that it had not been him.
Mortals strive to construct their own adorably inadequate marvels. But true power is only found in the cosmos.
Okay, this is a really big image. This is big here. In order to understand what's happening here, we need to go back to that yellow crown we saw at the beginning. So when Aurelion's soul found Runeterra orbiting the sun he created, the other aspects were unusually invested in it and implored Aurelion to come closer. When they did, he met the inhabitants of Targon, a fledgling civilization, who referred to Aurelion as the Golden Light for the sun they had gifted him. And I know some of you guys are thinking, wow, Solari stuff. Yeah, I mean, we might do another video just covering the Solari, but this definitely links back to them. So Aurelion's soul was flattered, and the aspects commanded the inhabitants of Targon to bring forth a suitable offering in return. The mortals climbed to the peak of Targon and presented Aurelion with a crown, crafted with careful and cunning magic, and etched with the inscrutable patterns of the celestial realm. From the moment it touched Aurelion's soul's brow, he knew it was not a gift. The accursed thing clamped in place with unimaginable force, enough that even he could not remove it, and he could feel his knowledge of the sun and its creation being stolen and scrutinized by intelligence vastly inferior to his own. Worse still, the power of the crown hurled him back into the heavens and prevented him from getting any closer to the world again. Instead, he was forced to watch as the aspects of Targon set the mortals to work on the construction of a great gleaming disc. With this disc, they channeled the celestial power to raise up immortal god warriors for some unknown conflict that was apparently still to come. The great gleaming disc is what we know as the sun disc in Shurima, and the immortal god warriors are the ascended of Shurima, just like Azir. And just to give you some perspective, there is a timeline with BN, which is before Noxus, and the golden age of Shurima was about 5000 to 2500 BN, and the Void War was 2500 to 2000 BN. So what they're really getting ready for is the Void War. To make things worse, Aurelion's soul was forced to watch over stars that he had created fade away across the cosmos due to a lack of care and maintenance. He strained to break free of the crown's control because it was he who had created those suns, birthed their lights into the universe. He was so happy when the sun disk fell. I mean, think about this. You are literally the creator of suns. You created the sun that Runeterra orbits around. You created all these stars, and they create a monument that literally steals your power, and just like to spit in your face, they call it the sun disk. He was so happy to see the sun disk fell, but today we know that the sun disk ended up rising again. There's a second, more powerful sun disk now in Shurima. Eventually, the world was ravaged by war and catastrophes. And just to give you some context again, the first thing was the Void War. Then you had the fall of Shurima, which again, we're going BN before Noxus. The fall of Shurima was 2500 to 2000 BN. The Rune Wars took place in 25 BN to 3 BN. So after the Rune Wars was the formation of Noxus. I believe the Rune Wars is the conflict that they're referring to. But regardless, it made Aurelion's soul circle back to the world, and he could feel the magic that bound him wearing. Flecks of gold began to fall from his crown, each one blazing across the skies like a comet. This is what we see here. I know that was a long explanation to get to this point, but if you had no background on Aurelion's soul, you now understand what is happening. That's why you see the comets falling. And how fitting that the crown coming apart, flecks of gold streaming across the cosmos, happens above the sun disk of Shurima, a tool created and used to siphon his own power. And look at Aurelion's soul here, look at him at the top. At the beginning, where we saw the gold crown above his head, and he talks of, he kind of stalked Targon from a distance, now we no longer see the gold glimmer around his head. Instead, the crown is broken, and its pieces now blazing across the sky like comets. And with that background, you can understand the next couple of lines here.
But true power is only found in the cosmos. You thought you could wield it. as you can tame me.
So you thought you can control it. You thought you could wield it. You could wield my power, that you could tame me.
As you can tame me. But how do you tame greatness? Oh, that's right, you can't. With every crack, your hold weakens. Every fracture brings a galaxy of strength.
And he's saying with every crack, your hold weakens. With every fracture brings a galaxy of strength. So every time this helmet is cracking just a little bit, he's getting his power back. His power is returning to him. Every crack is allowing him to get closer and closer to Runeterra. And Aurelion Sol is literally a ticking time bomb.
And while I long to return to my stars, first I shall be unleashed.
He longs to return to his stars. Don't forget, the stars that he created are fading away without his maintenance, without his care. All the stars that he created are now fading. So he wants to return to his stars to care for the ones that can still be saved. But first, he will take revenge on Runeterra and the aspects for what they did to him. Aurelion Sol regards Runeterra with like simmering eternal fury.
What's the matter, Targon? Losing your grip?
Okay, so you might think that this is the same image as the beginning when we saw Aurelion Sol at the very start, or just maybe a little bit farther along. The first image of Aurelion Sol is a bit cloudy, more distant, not as clear to distinguish. But in the final image, he's a bit closer. The helm is weakening, and the power which pushed him away and made it so he was unable to return to Runeterra is no longer able to keep him as far as it once did. He's closer and thus more clearly differentiated from the stars behind him, but still watching from a distance like a lion in the grass waiting to pounce. Now, I don't believe anything has happened, right? I don't believe the helmet is broken. I think what we see at the end is the current, what's current now, and what we were seeing is a vision of a possible future. So currently Aurelion Sol is literally just waiting to pounce and inching ever closer as the helm, the golden helm that they used to trick him and steal his power, is weakening.
What's the matter, Targon? Losing your grip?
And finally it finishes with Aurelion Sol's menacing laugh. So many people think the Void is the greatest threat to Runeterra, but I believe it is Aurelion Sol, and this cinematic shows that. If the helmet ever breaks and you just start seeing flecks of gold begin to fall from his crown, each one blazing across the skies like a comet, it's not even worth fighting for. It's over. And Runeterra is nothing to Aurelion Sol. Let's say that Runeterra is the size of Earth. Earth is 109th the size of our sun. Now let's say that one of these stars is about the size of our sun. Looking at this image where we're looking up from Piltover, we can see that one of those stars can fit on the tip of Aurelion Sol's fingernail. That means Runeterra is 1/109th the tip of Aurelion Sol's fingernail. It's nothing. It doesn't matter to Aurelion Sol. Like, if the helmet ever breaks, it's over for us. So, what do you think of Finality? I really liked it, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought. If you liked this video and want to see more like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, and I will see you in the next one.